Here's the deal. I want to build a low buck, small block Mopar with stuff that's readily available, stuff that I've already got around the shop. And I know everybody says low buck and Mopar don't usually go in the same sentence, and that's true. But here's the deal. I'm going to use a stock Magnum short block. I'm going to use LA aluminum heads. I'm going to use an LA intake. The beauty of it is Magnum Mopar short blocks, way easier to get a hold of, way better shape when you do find them. But there's bugger all for aftermarket support for heads and intakes. I'm gonna sort out a way to marry the two so we got the best of both worlds, and we'll see where it goes from there. Sounds like something that's interesting to you? Stick around. Now this here is a 5.9 Magnum. Got her cleaned up pretty good. It's gonna need a little more cleaning, but that's okay. And made a few videos about a year ago of tearing this thing down and inspecting it. I did put new cam bearings in it, and getting real close to maybe starting to reassemble this thing, put it back together. The plan's going to be for a stock bottom end, be new bearings, new rings, but stock pistons and rods, stock crank. Pair of Speedmaster aluminum heads back there, you can see behind me, and that's going to be what's going to be. We're going to put a cam in it, but looking forward to this. The 318 that's in my car now is wore right out, so maybe we can get a little more motivation with this thing. And now this here is the intake I'm going to be using. It's Edelbrock Torquer 2. It's a single plane, but not too concerned about possibly sacrificing just a tiny bit of low end torque, because I've got a real steep gear. I'm going to invest in the correct converter. So I believe this thing's going to work real well. One of the main reasons I'm using the Torquer 2 is because the right here, the thermostat housing is offset to the driver's side. Now, the reason I need that is for my air conditioning system. The AC compressor kind of takes up this real estate here, and fortunately I got some bungs over there for the temperature sender and things like that. I guess the other thing is the heater hose. So this thing works really well as far as my AC brackets and stuff go. That's just a stock 5.9 Magnum crank. It's in real nice shape. I'm just gonna give it a quick home polish, the way everybody seems to show guys how to do it, with a bit of crocus cloth and a shoelace. Should polish up just about right. And these here, CNC ported Speedmaster aluminum heads. They supposedly have the springs in them for a hydraulic roller cam. I'll give them a try, see how they work. I'm cautiously optimistic they're going to work for what I'm going to do. I'm not going to put a real wild cam in it, but it should be enough to make it a lot of fun. Now, I gave my pistons a real good hand cleaning, as good as I could, and I cleaned out the ring grooves with a piece of broken ring and cleaned everything up real well. Now they're actually, don't tell my wife, but they're in the dishwasher right now, giving them kind of a final blast. Hopefully that's going to work out. I do have the opportunity to put them in a ultrasonic cleaner if they're just not quite clean enough when they come out of the dishwasher, but I guess we're going to see, and we'll go from there. So here is my new toy that is going to clean my pistons up the rest of the way. If you look, especially around the pin and whatnot, there's just a little bit of stuff in there that I just couldn't get out without maybe scratching the crap out of things. And I'm going to give this a try. I'm going to soak each and every individual piston in there. I actually bought it just specifically to be the size for one piston and rod combo, and Looks like I got exactly the one I needed. It's just it's actually from Walmart. Walmart.ca online, and it wasn't bad. It was just over $100, and hopefully it's going to do what I want. Guess we'll see. Big thing now is I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research and figure out what exactly kind of solution that I'm going to put inside this thing to do the cleaning. So this is what I used for a fluid in my ultrasonic cleaner. I just happened to watch a video on YouTube today, just looking to try and figure out what I could use. And a fella used this, and I happened to have a couple jugs of it sitting at home that I wasn't using. So that's what I used. Let's see how it works. Well, that's a super annoying sound. I have a feeling that while that's going on, I'm gonna have to maybe go into the house and have a snack or something. We'll let it run for 30 minutes because that's what the timer runs for, and we'll see how it comes out. Well, I gotta say, I just put this in that ultrasonic cleaner for like 30 minutes, and you know what? Like, it ain't perfect quite yet, but I pretty much guarantee if I stuff it in there another 30 minutes, it's going to come out ridiculously clean. Even that stuff in and around the pin that I couldn't get at before, like on this side, it's virtually gone. And I almost guarantee you that this side, if I was just to get in there with like a toothbrush or something like that, it would scrape out of there like nobody's business. Anyway, I got it rinsed off, and for now that's good. We'll dunk it in there one more time and see how it looks. So now here's what we have after the second dip. She looks clean as a whip. Everything looks nice, and everything looks good. You look even in here where there was all that junk before. It's super nice and clean in there. Just when I rinsed it in the pail, that stuff would just floated away. Super happy with the way this turned out. The ring grooves look really good. I mean, I did manually clean and scrape those out, but you know what? I have a feeling that I did a whole lot more of the manual cleaning than I maybe had to do. Sometime when I get a chance, I'm going to try one just fresh out of the engine, not touching it and dropping it in here and see how it turns out. It might take a little longer, but you know what? The money, honestly, the money that you save on chemicals, whether you use mineral spirits or whatever to soak them in before you clean them, you can pay for one of these things in no time flat just by buying 8 liters of mineral spirits. At least that's the way it is around my neck of the woods. Now I guess I'm going to keep cleaning and getting this block ready. She's getting closer all the time, I guess. And then maybe I'll have to start looking at this big blob of parts on the counter. Maybe start putting something together. Starting to get back together. Cranks in. If anybody's wondering, this is absolutely not ever going to be a how-to video, because in order to make one of them, you have to know how to. And I've only built a couple of engines in my life, so I'll just share little clips as we're going. But honestly, this thing's coming together really nice. The crank turns over smooth as butter. I'm just going to torque down the main caps and make sure she still spins. No, I'm freaking choked. I went to bust out my rings, and I was going to start file fitting my rings, making sure everything was good that way. All excited, good things going. I bought rings for one frickin' cylinder. I have one single set of rings. That's just great. Now I got to order frickin' rings before I can really do anything else. So Saturday morning, I'm going to be blamming pistons into this engine that I'm building, and show you just a couple. I'm not going to show you how to put pistons in an engine because I'm not qualified. But anyway, regarding what I'm doing and a couple of the little things that I've learned that might help you out, I'm going to share some stuff. Now, one of the first things is I'm going to be using this nice old Finger Slicer 6000 piston ring compressor, and they come
with a particularly crappy little angle wrench deal that makes the whole experience even less awesome than using a real nice tool. But anyway, something that I found that works a heck of a lot better is I just got this. This is just a nut driver end that it fits a 1/4 inch socket, but it also fits the ratchet on there. And for opening and closing this thing, it's so much nicer than that little piece of crap dealio that comes with it that honestly it'll change your life.
So I took the afternoon and I file fit some rings, put them on these pistons, and they're ready to slam in. Got enough gap that they should be able to handle some nitrous if I decide to go that route. Guess I better just clean up the big end of these rods just a little wee bit and maybe fit some bearings in there. Now another little thing that I always do, I do get quite a bit of stuff from Summit Racing, but one of the main reasons that I do that is because anything over like $400 Canadian, you get free shipping, and that can be a big deal. But a lot of times, I don't want to go much over $400 because I got a budget too, right? Anyway, a lot of times you need to add a little thing to your order just to squeak it over the $400 and save yourself some money. So I buy some silly crap, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Check this one out. This is, I think it's actually for removing pistons, and I've tried it for that, and it works well for that too. But you know how when you're installing pistons, these nice, crazy, sharp threads on there can mark up your crank bearing journals pretty bad if you're not careful. Well, you can use, and I mean, I didn't invent this. This is what they tell you to do. But you can use the same tool for installing too. Just stick it on there like that. Obviously, I know you could just use a couple little pieces of rubber hose or whatnot too. But anyway, if you got one, it's pretty slick. Got pistons in. It's been a while. Looks pretty not too bad. Let's see about maybe putting an oil pump on. So I dropped the oil pump on, and by the magic of I forgot to record what I was doing, I actually painted it too. I just threw the oil pan on, painted it, and popped it back off. Now I'm going to do something that I wasn't planning to do, but I got a windage tray, and I got the proper mounting stuff. So I'm going to put this windage tray on there. Is it going to be enough to make a difference on this unit? I don't know, maybe. So that went on there pretty dang slick. A guy just replaces these 4 main cap bolts with studs, and there's basically a nut on top and a nut on the bottom that just adjusts for your height. I gave it basically as much height as I could without touching the pickup tube. It's just nice. There's just a little bit of clearance at the pickup tube, so I think that should be pretty much mint. I am gonna double check the height that this is off the oil pan floor. It should be good. Everything's just all stock stuff, but I'm gonna double check just because I'm that way. So I just stuck that piece of tinfoil in there, and that looks like that's somewhere around my gap off the bottom of the pan. So I'm sure that'll be just fine. Yeah, let's maybe we should think about putting timing chain and whatnot on here, and maybe we can get that pan blamed on there for good. So this here is the cam that I got. Honestly, it was not my first choice, but I got it because it was available. And honestly, I think it's going to work out just fine. It's I think they said 18 to 5800 RPM operating range, and best for right around 9-to-1 compression. So that's going to be right about where I'm at. And you know what? We'll see. I'm pretty dang sure it's going to be great for what I'm looking to do. This is actually a hydraulic roller retrofit cam, and it's intended to retrofit your LA small block. But I put it in this Magnum block, and it allows me to use the mechanical fuel pump eccentric. Now I am using an electric fuel pump in this, but I thought, you know what the hell, I've got one. I might as well have it in there. You never know where this motor might end up over the years. Probably end up blown up in a scrap heap somewhere, but let's think positive, I guess. So the balancer on the motor when I got it had the serpentine belt pulley built right into the balancer. So that was no good for me with what I was doing. So I got this Pro Products balancer, and it's pretty slick. What you buy just the one balancer, and you swap out that weight dependent on whether you're using it on a external balanced Magnum, external balanced LA, or just a plain internal balanced LA. It's really sweet. I know of other guys that have used them and they've worked out really well. So fairly economically priced on Summit, and I think it's going to work out pretty good for me. And that's an added bonus of this balancer is that timing tape etched into it. That's pretty nice. Okay, oil pan back on. I freaking hate installing oil pans. You look it up and it says to torque those bolts to 15 foot-pounds, and it seems way too tight for me. I get really nervous about oil pan leaks, and I really hate them. The only saving grace on this one is I will be running this engine on a test stand before I put it in the car. So I'll be able to sort out all the leaks before I get it in the car, because you know what it's like dropping a pan in a car. It's possible, but it super sucks. Okay, so what's next? Maybe I'll drop some lifters in there, slap some heads on there. Then I'll be able to figure out what I need for push rods and if what I got is going to work. And blah, blah, blah. Now, one thing I didn't realize till afterwards, I got in a hurry and I didn't show anybody me degreeing the cam. But you know what? It turned out straight up, just where I anticipated. There was no big deal, and I didn't do the best job, and I cussed a lot while I was doing it. So you have to trust me on that one, I guess. So there she is, full stock replacement lifters and all stock factory stuff up there. I'm confident that's going to be everything that I'm going to need for what I'm going to be doing. And you know what? Spend a whole bunch of money on high zoot lifters for them to fail, or just get stock replacement ones and hope for the best. I've heard good things. These are just Melling stock replacement hydraulic roller lifters for the Magnum Mopar, and I think it's going to be just fine. So another thing I better do before I forget is I've actually got to put a brass gear on one of these, and apparently with my billet camcorder, it'll eat these for breakfast, and I'll end up with a bunch of filings and shit in my engine. So I better get that swapped over too. Now you just drive this pin out of that hole, and then you drive this shaft out of that hole, and we'll just have to put it back together the same way we took it apart. Now the plan is going to be I put the shaft in the freezer in my little garage fridge here. And when it's sat in there and got good and cold for a little bit, I'll heat up that gear a little bit, and they should slide together a little better. The main reason I don't want to just drive them together is because I have to make sure that I line up that hole for that pin. That's a solid pin. There's no giving that sucker. I want to make sure everything's lined up just right when I go to drop that in there. So that's what I'm going to do. We'll give it a whirl. It should work out pretty good. We'll see. Now, even though these heads only have about 10 minutes of runtime on them, there was a little bit of partying going on in this cylinder, and I'm just gonna knock those little burrs off of there, because from what everybody tells me, any little spot like that's going to create a hot spot and going to create pinging and whatnot like that. So I'll just clean that up quick and clean up the rest of the deck before I blam that on. Well, the heads are on. That bronze gear's in there, and even this time I pointed it right so that my distributor will be the way the factory intended it. Not that I usually worry too much about that, but I thought, what the heck, I will this time. One step closer, let's see what we can do about some push rods. Well, now, after an insane amount of screwing around, making sure my rocker arms are spaced properly, I went to grab my push rod checker, and it is just like one freaking size too long. It won't allow me to get an accurate measurement of these friggin' push rods. Whatever, it's Sunday. I'll just go into the parts store tomorrow and swap it out. So I measured and ordered my push rods. It'll be a couple 3 days before they get here, but just went through the spacing on my rocker arms again, made sure that was all perfect. Pulled that distributor drive gear out of there so that I can prime the oil pump when it's time to do so. And just getting closer and closer here, but you know, we're gonna have to just throw a cover on it and get back to work on a Jeep for a few days or something like that while I wait for my push rods. A couple days later, push rods are all in. I'm just gonna fill up the oil system and try and create some pressure, see where all the oils are coming out, and make sure I'm getting oil up to my Valvetrain like I'm expecting to. So wish me luck. Here we go. Now, to set the roller rockers, they're adjustable obviously, and I used this chart here that I got off the internet. But unfortunately the lifters are not pumped up. I just put them in there. I know some guys say soak them in oil, some guys say don't soak them in oil. I put them in there right out of the box. Mistake maybe. But anyway, I am going to prime my oil system really, really well. That should pump all the lifters up and do all that kind of thing. So that's where we're at right now. I'm going to put an oil pressure gauge on it, fill her up with oil, and as soon as I can get a helper, a partner in crime or something to come and run the priming tool with a drill, I will be cranking on the old snout of the crankshaft to make sure the different oil holes line up and get oil to all the different places it got to be, and we should be good to go. Okay, just see what kind of oil pressure this thing's gonna make. I filled the pump. It should come up real soon here. Let's see what she's gonna do. Well, that's all right. 80 pounds. I just wonder where it's all coming out. Oh, I see some coming out of the head up here. So that's good. Now I'm going to holler at my helper and maybe we'll be able to get oil up to the rest of this thing. So on the factory LA engine, the the rockers get oiled through a passage in the block that comes off like number 4 main through the cam journal, and it comes up and it fills the rocker shaft with oil. From there, it distributes oil to the entire, all the rockers on each side of each head. Um, the way I'm doing it, this is a Magnum block. It doesn't have that passage in the block to oil the heads. So I'm push rod oiling it just like the stock Magnum stuff did. Like I mentioned before, I just wasn't too sure if I wanted the whole rocker shaft to have to be filled with oil before everything else started getting oiled. I thought there's just delay there that didn't need to be there. So I'll show you what I'm gonna do. Show you. I'll give you. We're gonna give it a try. We're gonna see how it works. If I'm confident that the rockers are getting lots of oil this way, which I really truly do believe they should, I'm thinking this is going to be the way to go. Now these holes are the holes in the bottom of the rocker shaft that used to oil the stock rocker arms. I don't need them anymore because it's getting the oil from the push rod. So I plugged them off with just little plugs and Loctited them in there to make sure they don't come out. Now I'm going to put it together with this rocker shaft on one side and the way it currently is with the open holes on the other side, and we're going to see what kind of difference this makes. Okay, go ahead. So now it looks like we've got oil coming out the top holes real good. That's going to oil that roller and everything just beautifully. This is not easy to see, but there's just a tiny little wee bit of interference between my rocker shaft, or my rocker arm and my valve keeper here, and yeah, you can't see that very well, but I'm gonna have to clearance them just a little wee bit. And there you see how I have to clearance this thing just so that these rocker arms don't hit the spring retainers. Not much. It's not going to really weaken anything, but this is all the stuff that comes up. You don't know until you get putting it together. So that's exactly how I clearanced them. Like I say, there's no sharp 90 or nothing there. I shouldn't have created a stress riser or anything like that. If I did and it all breaks and goes to hell, I guess I'll know for next time. But for now, that's the way she's going to go. Well, she's all screwed together finally. I've got a Magnum Block and LA heads, and everything works and everything oils the way it should. I got a roller cam and a nice set of aluminum heads. Next step is going to be to get this thing on the run stand and flame it up. Make sure everything's good, make sure we got no leaks, and after that she'll be ready to put in the car. But for now, I think that's going to be about it. So why did I do this? Around my neck of the woods anyway, every Magnum block that you find, number one, it's going to be way easier to find. Number two, it's going to be in way better shape than a comparable LA block. So you got a LA 360 with 250,000 kilometers on it. It's going to be needing a bore and it's going to be needing some work. Comparable Magnum block, you're not going to have to touch it. It's going to still have crosshatch in the cylinders. Whether it's because of the fuel injection and not getting washed down in the cylinders, I don't care what it's because of, but it is the truth. Now, the thing with LA, there's a lot more heads available. There's a ton more intakes available. So when you figure out how to use the LA heads on the Magnum block, it's kind of, I feel you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. You're getting a stock bottom end block that'll let you put together 9-to-1 compression real easy. And you've got the availability of multiple cylinder heads, multiple intakes, multiple all that stuff. So it's kind of a no-brainer to me. I'm gonna run this. I'm gonna have it at the track this spring. See how it works out. See if I picked the right cam. Got a whole bunch of unknowns with this. A lot of this stuff is real new to me, but I really enjoyed it. It's it's been a lot of fun. I'm I'm already planning on what I'm gonna do next. I like I like low buck. I like trying to do more with less. That was kind of the goal behind this whole entire build, was to fashion it around the stock Magnum short block. And you know what? We're gonna see what I get out of it. Was it a success? Was it a failure? You'll find out if you stick around, and I'll share my results when it comes, like at the racetrack this spring, and we'll go from there. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this. Appreciate you sticking around this long, and you get a chance, maybe subscribe to the channel, ring the dingy bell, all the YouTube stuff. It honestly really does help with the growth of the channel. And thanks for watching.